What's going on, guys? Nightmare JP here, and today I am doing OPTC Japan Beginner's Guide, and today we'll be going over 10 different steps in 9 different things in One Piece Treasure Cruise that hopefully for beginners you guys will learn how to play the game, know all of the functions and whatnot. So let's start with the first one, which is the Adventure tab. So the Adventure tab is the first thing that you'll see whenever you enter the game. It's the glowing one with the Going Merry on it, and here we're seeing the first story island of the game, and right at the bottom there is this bird, and this bird just has all the news that's in the game of all the most recent stuff in here. So right here we have the Kaido banner that's going on right now. And this is the part 1 banner. This is the part 2 banner that is going on simultaneously with the part 1 banner. We have that there's a gem sale going on for this current Sugu Fest where you're able to get Kuzna potions as well. Oops, let me scroll back up. You can get Kuzna potions, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. And then we have the Wano campaign going on right now for the next month or so. We have the Wano Law raid going on, and the Wano Zoro Fortnite going on. And tonight we're gonna have the Coliseum Hody coming out soon. And then we have some more banners and stuff going on this information page. So that's all that you're going to see here, and that's going to be on this one. So the top left hand button is just info from the game developers, what they're telling us, and they're just talking about how in the recent maintenance that there was an issue on Apple's end of the game, so they are sorry about that happening with Apple, and now that everything is fixed, the game's up and running. So on 9/30 there's going to be a update to the gem prices due to the update in Japan's currency. So it's just a little update, and that just a little bit more expensive, but it's still relatively the same, but nothing you need to worry about if you're free to play. And right here, the middle button is just talking about treasure map, which is one of the features of this game, which is sort of PvP like. And here is just showing that usually heroes show the next upcoming treasure map character, but right now they're keeping it a secret. And here they're gonna show the boosted list, and during treasure map time, like a day or two before the event, it'll show the actual characters and not just the kanji, so you'll know if you have the character in your box or not, if you're unfamiliar with the kanji, of course. But of course there's a translated version on the OPTC Reddit. There's also a translation on my own Discord, which will be linked into the comment section of this video. And then on the last button on the right has the Fortnite list of the Fortnites that will be coming out this month, but right now the Fortnite list is dead, or maybe they're not going to do Fortnites anymore like this, so we'll have to see. But usually that's where you'll see the Fortnites. And that's it for the bird. So right here there's the navigation log, and this will let you go through the story island. So these first ones are for the Grand Line, the East Blue. Here's Grand Line story mode. We have Alabasta, Jaya, Sky Island. We have the Water 7 and CP0. We have Thriller Bark. We have I forget the name, but the Bubble Island where they had the slaves and Kami and whatnot. Then we have Amazon Lily and Impel Down. Then we have Marineford, 3-Day TY, New World when they come back, Fishman Island, Punk Hazard, Dressrosa, Zoe, and then Whole Cake Island. So that's it. If you're familiar with the One Piece story, then yeah, that's basically the storylines, but you just go in this order. You'll play this first island, and they're pretty simple. They have like little fodder character drops that you can get, and if you played the tutorial already, you would have played this island already. So the next island that you will play is this one, and in this island you'll fight against what's her name, Alvita, at the end, and there's little stamina, so it costs 11 stamina to clear this, but as a beginner it's nothing to worry about. The 11 stamina, you will probably level up after clearing this island. But yeah, these story islands are basically where you're going to farm the majority of your gems if you're free to play. If you're not free to play, you'll probably buy your gems, but story is always a good place to farm up some gems. I believe you can get like close to 600 gems in total. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I recall, just playing all of story mode in total, which is really nice. So right here at the top we have Chopper, and this is where the Chopper Man missions are. So this little green button right here shows the beginner missions, which I've already completed, but now until December you'll be able to play these Chopper Man missions, and in total, well, you can get plenty of gems from doing them, and it's a whole bunch of beginner stuff, so it'll help you learn to play the game, and it'll teach you a whole bunch of stuff as well. But you can earn 50 gems for completing all of them, and then you get gems as well, so really great place to get some gems. This middle button is just the daily missions, and I've already completed one of the dailies. So one of the dailies is to just play one island, and I've already done that, and then you get 2 medium limit break potions, which I'll talk about later. And then you see I have a 60 out of 100, so if you spend 100 stamina you will complete the other mission, which is you'll get some HP, attack, and RCV candy, and then you'll get the gem as well, which will complete your daily mission, which is really nice. And then right here with this red button is just the Chopper Man missions for the current events going on. So this first one right here, which I have 5 completed, 5 out of 6, is for the Wano Zoro Joro Fortnite, and we see here the first clear gives you Zoro, the second one will give you Lobster, which is XP for your characters. You get 5 medium limit break potions for doing the third, for doing 5 clears. This one is for 3 clears. This one is for 7 clears, and you'll get another additional 5, so 10 so far. And then at 10 clears you'll get 1 gem, and then at 20 clears you'll get 3 gems, which is really nice. And then for this one, it's for the Wano Law event. So for your first clear, which I should let you guys know that now in version 9.4 all content will be 0 stamina at first, so until you clear it, it'll be 0 stam, so it gives you a chance to test out content and see if you can clear it or not without wasting stamina, which is really nice. So for the first clear you'll get a free gold or a higher ticket, or a 4-star and up ticket. Those are the best rarities in the those are the average rarities in the game, so it goes from 3-star to 6-star, and 6-star is the highest, of course, and 4 stars are the rare recruits, and 6 stars are legends. But getting rare recruits are still pretty good, so don't worry about it if you don't get a legend from this pool. So on the second clear you'll get on the third clear actually you'll get a copy of Law, but on the 60 stamina version of this raid, Law's also available, but as a beginner you'll probably be only playing the 30 or 40 stamina depending on your team, so the chances of getting the Law drop, there's a chance of getting the Law drop, but it's not guaranteed, unlike on the 60 stamina version. And on the 5th clear, you'll get some socket books, which I'll talk about a little bit later as well, but they're really great for helping your team clear content. And on the 10th clear, you'll get 1 gem. On the 15th clear, you'll get 10 cotton candy. And on the 20th clear, you'll get 3 gems. The 25th clear, you'll get 1 universal skill book, which I'll talk about later, but basically it'll power up your character's skill level, which is really great. And then on 30 clears, which I have 26 out of 30, you'll get 5 gems, which is really great. And I forget what this one's for. I think it's when you evolve law, you get something. I might be wrong, but I'll have to check a little bit later. And then these Chopper Man missions are for the Garp Challenges. So I've done quite a few. I did the majority of them already. Just a couple that I haven't done, but Garp Challenge I wouldn't recommend for beginner players until you become more accustomed to the game, because they can be quite difficult, especially the later ones, but you can receive a lot of great rewards from doing the Garp Challenges. So from the Chopper Mans, including tablets, gems, cotton candies, and XP items, but all of that can all come later on when you become more familiar and have a better team. So that's that. And then this button on the right with all the different icons going on is the extra island, and we'll be looking into that in just a bit. But first I want to show you guys this. These are snails. They appear both here on the story mode, and they also appear on extra island, and these will net you different rewards. The best reward to get are 5 gems, and you can get stamina refills, turtles, cola, what else can you get? There's a whole bunch of things. I don't remember every item off the top, but snails are a good place to get free items, which is always nice. So now we'll just go to extra island, which can be accessed either there, or when you come and click this item, it's this tab right here, this green one. So extra island. So here we have the first thing are the Princess Turtle Island. So Princess Turtles are the highest XP in terms of turtles, and they give you a lot of XP, so really great for leveling up your characters, which is really nice. And they are daily. Well, this island is daily, and it costs 0 stamina, so you can always farm these and get a Princess Turtle to max level your characters really quickly, which is really nice. This is the One of Law rate, which I was talking about earlier. 30 stamina, 40 stamina, and 60 stamina. And if you press this orange button here right under clear, it shows the drops of the island. So we see that Law drops, we see that this Elder Seahorse drops, and we see this green, or Dex as it's called in this game, Teenage Turtle drop. And Teenage Turtle are the 3rd highest XP boosts that you can get from turtles, and they are pretty nice to have. Not as good as Princess Turtle, but they're still pretty good for leveling up your characters. And then again, more drops from this raid include socket books and cotton candies, HP, attack, and RCV in order from left to right. So 30, 40, 60, and this 0 stamina. This 0 stamina one is a challenge mode, and it is pretty difficult. I probably wouldn't recommend for newer players, but there are 33 days, so depending on your skill level and depending on what units you get, you might have the chance to clear it before the month is done. But if there isn't a chance, then it's still fine. If you do happen to clear it, though, you are able to receive 20 gems, 25 tablets, and a turkey, and 3 sets of 100 plus cotton candy of HP, attack, and RCV, which is really great rewards. But you don't have to stress about not clearing this event, because it is quite difficult. But So it's nothing to be ashamed of. And right here we have the Sugafest Island, which is for Kaido, if you haven't noticed. But you play this island and you can test out the Kaido team and his batch. Let's take a run in it right now. So here they let us play with Kaido for free, and we have the whole batch, and then we also have Zoro, which is really nice. They max socket, and yeah, they just max socket the unit. So while we're here, let's talk about socket. So right here, this first one is damage reduction. You need 15 copies to max it. So first level only needs 5, and next 10, and next 15, and then it goes up to 10% DR, which is pretty useful for some characters, but some characters in the game, depending on their captains, won't be affected by damage reduction, so it's not always one to be that you should put on your characters, but it just depends on the unit itself. But I would typically recommend putting damage reduction on your characters in the beginning. Next up, we have cooldown reduction, and it has 2 levels. First, you need 10 slots, and then the next one needs 20 slots, and it reduces your cooldown by 2. So cooldown is just your special levels, and since you're newer players, your special levels usually aren't maxed. So cooldown reduction is really great for helping you get your specials up faster so you can use them more efficiently. Next up, we have bind. So bind needs 20 levels to be maxed, and at level 3, it reduces 3 turns of bind that can be inflicted onto your characters, which is really great and very useful for a lot of content. Next up we have is despair, and like bind, it needs 20 levels, and it also removes 3 turns of despair onto your characters. If there are more than 3 turns of either bind and despair, you can use specials that some characters have that can remove the additional turns, so it's nothing to worry about. Or in some cases, there is a captain that you can use that also removes those effects, which is really nice. Next up we have is auto heal, which is probably the most important socket nowadays. Auto heal just heals you every turn, and depending on what level you have. So level 5, which requires 24 slots of auto heal, heals you for 1000 every turn, which is really great because auto heal, unless you're using a healer, is the best way to regain HP after taking damage, especially if you need to stall, and especially at the early level where your specials aren't maxed, so you will be needing to stall a couple turns in order to have specials ready. But and that's the left side, and the right side are other sockets, but they're usually not recommended too often, except for one, and I'll talk about that one next. This is RCV up, and this basically boosts your RCV stat. So at level 5, you'll have 1,000 plus on your RC, depending on your RCV orbs, which is really nice. Not really useful in a lot of content, but in some content you might want this RCV boost so you can tank more hits and be able, not to tank, but when you eat our RCV orbs, you'll be regaining more HP from that, which is always really nice. And this one is Orb Rate Up, which is one I would usually recommend over DR for most cases, but both are hand in hand, both really good sockets. So level 20 will increase the chance, well, level 3, which requires 20 slots of Orb Rate Up, will highly increase the chances of you landing a matching orb on your characters, which is really nice. This one is Poison and Resistance, and at level 20 you will be completely immune to poison. I wouldn't recommend this slot for early players, but since there are characters that remove poison, but in some situations you might want to apply these sockets in order to completely be immune to poison. So it's nice to keep these socket books if you have them, but it's not recommended to use them unless in very dire need. And this is map damage. Similar to poison, it resists lightning damage, and there's like a HP cut poison damage that stuff like what's it, the Rate Magellan and some other stuff deals, but it's nothing too important to invest in. You'll use this socket way less than you would poison immunity, so not the best one, but I wouldn't invest in anything with those sockets. And this last one is resilient, and at level 20 it will boost the chance of you not dying when you'll most likely get one shot. I wouldn't invest this socket. A lot of people might tell you, oh, it's a nice socket, but it's really not used at all, and I can't think of any content where you will want to use this socket, so highly recommend not using this socket at all. And just to show you guys, so you are allowed 5 slots per socket, and depending on the character, you'll have a various amount of slots. So a lot of legends have 5 slots. So Kaido right here is a legend, and he has 5 slots, but others have 4, and that's usually for like really old legends, but typically they have 5, which is really nice. And here, let's go into the game, showing off the Kaido team. So we have Hold'em pop up, and then we have the little special thingy that Kaido does for his transformation, and this will activate every time you enter the game with the full stage with Kaido. And that was his captain ability. He does end of turn damage every turn, which is really crazy. But just gonna tap with him, and then he'll blow everyone away. So Kaido's really insane, if you can tell by this gameplay. Just at the tap, and kaboom. So right there, you can see that's resilient. You can apply it, or enemies will have it themselves, but that's basically the resilient socket that I was talking about before. When you apply it with a special, it's better, so that's why I wouldn't recommend using it as a socket. And as a special, it doesn't have a chance unless there's a like HP requirement or whatever. So right here, we're against the boss Luffy, and he'll change colors for Kaido. He'll damage us, and then he'll rewind our special. So here, I'll show off Kaido's special. So he does the same effect, and he does a HP cut, which stacks. Zoro's special, you can skip the special by clicking. He does a defense down. Hold on. He applies a chain lock. Jack. He applies a orb boost, and he reduces the cooldown. His orb boost is for powerhouses and strikers, and speed also reduces cooldowns. So we're just gonna tap, and Kaido will kill. So that's Kaido, guys. Really nice legend. And you don't get anything from that event, which is alright. So next up, let's talk about raids. So raids, right here we already talked about raid law, and similar to raid law, we have raid crocodile and we have raid ace. Both of these are pretty difficult for beginner players, so I highly wouldn't recommend trying the 60 stamina, but I would encourage you guys to play the 30 stamina to at least get one copy before they leave. There's 3 days left on both of these raids. Some other raids are these beginner, these daily raids, and they change every day. So these raids can also be a bit difficult depending on their levels, and they change every day, but I'll probably do a video, another one that'll show which raids that I recommend farming. But for most raids, I would recommend getting at least one copy, because sometimes they're boosted in the treasure map, so having a treasure map booster is always nice to have, even if the unit isn't too useful themselves. And I should let you guys know, after you clear every version of a raid or any event in this game, for the most part, you'll receive 1 gem for clearing all 3 difficulties. So that's a good incentive for you guys to try and clear all the content. Next up, we have our fortnights. So fortnights, like this one, are so there's raids and then there's fortnights, and fortnights are easier content. They're better for beginners to play, and they usually drop characters that aren't usually aren't that powerful, like this one, but they're also highly they're easier for beginners to play, and they also, if you clear all difficulties, you get a gem from them, and then they also will net you turtles, cola, and then skill books. So these skill books, like the universal one, they have a chance to level up the specials of your characters, and certain skill books work for certain characters besides the universal ones and the gold ones, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But yeah, I highly recommend farming skill books from fortnights in order to max the levels of your characters. So some fortnights have different skill books, and you'll just have to wait for skill books to come back depending on what unit you want to max, or you can use universal or gold books, but I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're in great need of the character's skill. But fortnights also can drop decent characters, like this one drops Ivankov, who's a really great unit for a Fortnite character. She is a 1.75 attack booster for free spirit characters, which is really great for Fortnite. I also would recommend playing these. These are support Fortnite events, or for older units, but these units are really great because they will help you out in a lot of the more difficult raids for beginners, such as Raid Judge and Raid Lucci and Raid Zoro, which are really great. And these units are also pretty good units as well for in-game players, so I highly would recommend playing these missions. They drop the characters, and then they drop turtles, crabs, penguins, and seahorses as well, depending on the event. But they're all really great units, and I would recommend that everyone to farm these, including in-game players. Next up, we have, I should mention before, these are also fortnights. They cost 20 stamina, but these are Legend skill book one. So fortnights usually don't have the best rates for Legend skill books, but these have a higher rate, and depending on the island, they'll have the skill books for the legends that you own or want to max out. Usually the newer legends don't have skill books right away, but These are typically for more older ones, so you'll just have to scroll through here to find the legends or the units that you want. But with this being out for the next 10 days, you might be able to max out some of the skills for a lot of the characters that you'll pull if you pull now. So, but this isn't always up. It comes at random times, but they might be adding it here in this Unlockables right up at the top, but I'll talk about those Unlockables a little later. Next up, I want to talk to you guys about the, oh yeah, I should just mention this. These are beginner Fortnite islands. These also are part of the Chopper Man rookie mission, so these three in here, and I believe there's 2 in here that you have to play. Yeah, 2 in here, and yeah, so 3, 6, 8. So those 8 Fortnites you have to play for the rookie missions, and then they'll help you get the 50 gems for completing them. But I would recommend playing all of these missions. I don't believe playing all of them will net you a gem, but they will net you the characters guaranteed. So when skill up comes, you can max these Fortnite characters and have some pretty decent characters in your crew if you don't get lucky on the Sugo Fest. So that's something that I would recommend. So let's talk about the Evolver Islands. Oh yeah, these are the Garp Challenges, by the way. There are 6 of them. These are the first 5, and there's the first one, of course, is the easiest, and they all cost 0 stamina. I would say the first up to like 5, or yeah, up to 5 are pretty easy for beginners, but after that you might need to make a particular crew or whatever. It depends on the Garp Challenges, because some of them, the older ones, the first and second one had like 15 stages, but then the later ones reduced the 15 stages to like 9 or whatnot. I don't recall, but yeah. It just depends on the Garp Challenge, but I wouldn't really worry about these Garp Challenges until you become more familiar with the game. Anyways, Evolver Islands. So these Evolver Islands are really great. They're where you want to farm materials so you can evolve your characters. So here we have the seahorses, and we have the elder seahorse, which is the golden one with the beard, and then we have the teenage one. We have this that one, and then we have the baby seahorse. Then here we have penguins of different colors, and then we have the rainbow robber penguin, the rainbow regular penguin, and then the strength robber penguin, and then the regular penguin. So the rainbow penguins can appear on the last stage, and they have a chance to drop. And then the red and blue regular and robber penguins, or the big or small penguin, have a chance to drop on any of the 3 stages. So those are great to farm your penguins. Then here we have lobsters. We have, the rainbow lobster drops here as well. So the rainbow lobster should be available on the last stage, I believe. And the rainbow crabs and the rainbow, the rainbow crab was on the last stage, so I might add the lobster somewhere later, or it might be a random drop. Actually, let's see. And then these are also materials. We'll actually play one of these real quick. Let's use Saba. Kaido for fun. I just want to see where the rainbow lobster drop, because they're a new addition to the game, and they actually didn't have them before, so I just want to see where they added them. And this is Legend of Hody. Okay, so this is stage 5. Oh, so I just added a different stage. Okay. So yeah, so the rainbow crab can drop hermit crab, or the big crab can drop. Oh, okay, cool. So don't worry about that little effect there. That was just support, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video as well. But yeah. Alright, so you can farm the rainbow crabs at the end of the hermit crab lobster thing, so that's really nice to know. I actually didn't know that, so I learned something today as well. But yeah, that's the crab evolver islands. They're really simple, all of them, so you don't have to worry about difficulty or anything. And then here we have the dragon islands. Whoop, let me go back. And the Dragon Islands have all of them. You can drop all these. The rainbow one, red, blue, green, yellow, and purple. So, yeah. This island also is pretty easy. So, if you need those those evolvers, you can just pick them up really quickly. Alright, next. Let's talk about the Belly Island. So, this is the Belly Island, really great for getting your belly, which is right here. If you look above my chopper on my screen and you look above the XP bar and you see the little gold belly symbol, that's my belly. And belly is really important. It's really important for powering up characters, for evolving characters, for leveling up them. If you don't have enough belly, you won't be able to do it, so you can always farm these missions. The 30 stamina can be a little bit difficult for beginners, but after a little adjustment and getting a better team, you can run the Belly Island really quickly. There's also captains that boost the amount of belly, so depending on how quickly you become accustomed to the game, you might be able to clear the 30 stamina belly island, but doing the 20 and 10 stamina islands are not that bad. See, this costs 90, but it should be relatively easy for most beginners. Oh, I don't remember if I talked about it, but let's talk about Coliseum. So Coliseum's right here. There's 3 difficulties. This is chaos, this is underground, and then this is the basic one. So this basic one, let's wait for it to load, and it's gonna load again. So this basic one, it only has like 2 or 3, and the new Coliseum usually comes out in both this basic one, underground, and then chaos as well, but they are relatively easy, and they drop the characters. They drop the character themselves, but it's not guaranteed. Skill books for the characters, turtles, cotton candies, and cola. And then when you get on the higher levels, such as chaos and underground, they drop socket books as well, which is really nice. But yeah, Coliseum is really great. As beginners, I would recommend playing this version and underground, depending on how your box is, and then depending on how your teams are later in the future, you can probably move up to chaos. But I would recommend playing these 2 lower difficulties and trying to max out the character. In this version, actually, nowadays, after you clear it one time, you get 15 copies on the new Coliseums, which is really great. There's the new Coliseum out at the moment, but tonight the Coliseum Hody comes out. But I believe you like get 20 or 15 copies alone just by clearing it. Let's see if Coliseum Opera Act has this reward as well. Now you just receive 5 socket books, but this is a slightly older Coliseum that came out last year, so no need to worry about. But he's still a pretty good unit. I would recommend farming him. But for most of the newer Coliseums, you win like 15 or 20 copies, which is really great. So I would highly recommend running the underground version so you can get your copies for skill ups and whatnot. So you don't have to worry too much about not getting the guaranteed drop on the Chaos version. And let's talk about the last couple of things on Extra Island. So right here we have keys for adventure. Unfortunately, they don't give out keys anymore, but this event isn't really that good. It just gives out these pigs, which are also XP, but they give less XP than depending on the pigs. These pigs give less than the elder turtles, but they give more XP. The big pigs, of course, give more XP than the teenage turtles. So that's all. Nothing too important to worry about. You probably won't ever get keys to unlock this adventure ever again, unless they do another update where they're like, oh, we're bringing back keys. But that probably won't happen again, so you don't have to worry about that adventure at all. So if there's that one gem there, you just unfortunately won't be able to get it. And then here we have the training force. So these training forces are, oh, they changed the text on these. That's really cool. But yeah. Oh, so they changed it based on difficulty. So they said Whitebeard's pretty difficult. Okay. So, these training forests are basically islands which have 20 rooms, and you have to play throughout 20 rooms, and you cannot die and revive to play them again. You have to just play it straight through without dying, and then you get a gem and a boat for clearing it, which is really great. Some of these boats are really great, such as this boat right here for the Mihawk Forest, which is relatively easy. If you're able to clear the raid Mihawk, then you can clear the Forest Mihawk, which is really great. Another boat I would recommend is this one, the Whitebeard ship. Is really great unit ship. It is a 1.5 HP boost, and it usually lets you net the highest HP. It's the boat that allows you to net the highest HP, which is really great. Another boat that I'll recommend from the Force are the Blackbeard Boat, which is really great. It reduces cooldowns if you have Slasher, Striker, Shooter, or Slasher on your team. And it also gives you a really great amount of HP, which is really great. And another boat I would recommend is probably the Polar Tang or Laws Submarine, which is a Slasher and Free Spirit boosting ship. It also heals you under 20% for 10k, which is really nice, and also increases your chances of hitting perfects. And another boat I would recommend is Delphi's right here. The Doflamingo boat, which is a driven boosting boat, and it gives a chain boost, and it's special, which is really great, and also makes perfects easier to hit. But those are the training force. You can do them whenever you need to. They aren't really that required, but it's always a free gem and a free boat if you clear them, which is really nice. But always, I would just recommend clearing them when you can. Some of them, the early ones like they showed, aren't that difficult, but the later ones can be pretty difficult, especially the last ones, such as like the Big Mom one, and Capone, and Blackbeard, and Kizaru and Law, especially for newer players. Alright, so now let's talk about Unlockable. So this button right here with the lock are the Unlockable. So here they have some boats depending on the time that you can purchase, and the boats I would recommend purchasing when you have the chance are the second boat here, which is the Ho. It's a XP ship, and it's really nice. It also reduces cooldowns by 1 for your whole crew, which is really great. Another ship I would recommend is the Germa 66 ship. It reduces cooldowns by 2 if you have one of every color in your game, which is really nice. And it also has I believe it's like a 1.6 attack boost if you have a T&D orb, which you don't have to worry about, but it's a really great ship. I would highly recommend purchasing that ship as well. And then we have the Zenith ship, which is really great. That boosts powerhouse and cerebral characters, and it also makes perfects easier to hit, and it makes RCV and or meat orbs and T&D orbs beneficial, which is really great. And then here we have the 6+ Nami Island. It costs 6 gems. I'd highly recommend farming this island if you on a later date if you get the Legend Nami, because 6+ Nami is a real improvement to the 6-star Nami. But then again, this island is pretty difficult, so playing the 30 stamina one is probably your best bet. And when you unlock this island, you have it available for 10,080 minutes, so that's a couple of days to play the event. So when you're available to unlock it, I would recommend unlocking it if you get Nami, and especially if you have the time to play the event. So next up we have the V2 Germa 66 Skull Island badge, and I would recommend unlocking this as well if you get the Germa Island. The Germa Island actually isn't too difficult, so if you're able to purchase the treasure map now, which I'll talk about a little bit later in the video after I finish talking about the extra island, then I would recommend farming this event for the Germa 66 skulls because they're really great. And then next up we have the V1 Germa Island. I honestly wouldn't recommend farming this island unless you get 6-star judge. The 6+ V1 Germas aren't really that good compared to the regular forms, and the only one I would really recommend 6+ in or 5+ and 6+ in right now is just judge. The kids aren't really that good in my personal opinion. But yeah, next up we have our 6+ Sanji and 6+ Frankie. I would recommend 6+ in both of those because they are really good if you have the purple Sanji or the quick Frankie. I'll show you guys who they are a little bit later. Then yeah, I would recommend doing that if you have those characters. But then again, these islands for the 6+s are quite difficult, so it depends on if you can clear the islands or not, if you should unlock them. But these islands are permanent, so you can always farm them whenever. And then this is for the Legend of Nell, which is also a really good unit. I would recommend 6+ in him, but he's not really that good as of now, so it's like I would 6+ him if I were you, but he's not really gonna be too useful right now because a whole bunch of things just nerf him currently. So yeah, it's your choice to choose if you want the 6+ him or not. And then we have a whole bunch of turtle islands. If you clear the island, it costs a gem, and then you get your gem back. And then we have this Leo event, which is really great. I would recommend farming this Leo because he's really great for a really difficult Coliseum called Coliseum Morley. So he is a unit that is almost needed for clearing that Coliseum, so I would recommend picking him up because he's a really great unit. His event works very similar to Zoro Joro Fortnite, where he has this limit break materials on the island, so then you farm him and his limit break materials at the same time. So yeah. And then next to unlockables, you can sort the extra island to how you want it. So the first button sorts it by fortnights, second one sorts it by raids, but for some reason it doesn't show Croc. Oh, because Croc's a special event. This sorts it by Coliseums. This sorts it by I don't know what it sorts it by extra stuff like evolvers and stuff. But then it also has the legend books, and it also has the new Fortnite. And then this sorts it by special events. So yeah, and then this is just the base form, which has everything on it. So that's everything on the extra island. So let's go to treasure map. So this is treasure map. So treasure map is usually available for a set amount of days. It's usually out for 4 to 5 days at a time. And then here you can play a PvP like event where you just have to do more runs and have higher point boosters in order to gain points. And depending on your points, you'll have a rank. So if we look at the top left, we see that I had 53 million points on the last treasure map, which is Blackbeard, and I ranked 314 in the New World League, which is the highest league, and that was a pretty good ranking for me. Not my best, but it's still relatively good on my end. And if we click this first button here, right underneath the little sign that said that treasure map ended, you can see your ranking, and then you can click here to see who's in the top 100. And then if you click this blue button right here, you can see the rewards for ranking. So for me, for my rank, I got 19 gems, 2 legends, 1 4-star better, 6 gold books, 18 limit break orbs, 22 tablets, and 60 crystals for limit break, and 165 shards, 6 socket books of every one, and 15 lobsters, which is really nice. And then you can always change to see the rewards for other leagues. So this is for Grand Line, and this is for East Blue, which will be where you guys as beginners will start in East Blue, and then you'll just make your way up. So rank 300 on East Blue. Oh, it's 11 through 500. 10 gems, 1 legend, 1 rare recruit, 3 gold books, 13 orbs, 3 tablets, 45 crystals, and 115 shards, 3 socket books, and 15 lobsters. That's actually pretty good. So if you would rank that, depending on your ranking as well, if you rank high enough, you can move up leagues. So if you go, I think it's like rank 2K or 2K plus or something like that, you'll go from East Blue to Grand Line, and then rank similar to that, you'll go up to New World, and then you'll stay up there, which is always nice. New World has the best rewards in the game, but if you feel like you are more comfortable playing in the lower leagues, I would recommend playing it until you become more accustomed to the game. And then this second button right here just shows the rewards that you receive based off the points. So our point cap for this treasure map was 7 million points, and here we got our 3rd legend, and we got 5 gems. At 5 mil we got another legend, and then at 3 mil we got another legend. So for East Blue, the point cap is at 3 million for the point cap for rewards, not for how many points you can get total, but it's 3 million for 1 legend. And is there another legend that you guys get? No, you don't get another legend, but yeah, if you just do 3 million points, you can get 1 legend, which is pretty fair. Pretty nice rewards. And here in TM, there's a treasure map shop, so let's check that out. So here we have the treasure map shop. Here we have the treasure map Garp, which is a lockable unit. He is pretty good, but I wouldn't recommend picking him up as a beginner player. I would just recommend a little later picking him up because he requires a lot of material to max. Here we have the Cavendish and Delphi 6+ skulls. You need 5 of these skulls so you can 6+ the unit. I highly recommend picking up 6+ Delphi because he's a really powerful driven orb booster, so that's always good to pick up when you have the chance, of course. But here you can also pick up limit break material that you can also pick up in treasure map, outside treasure map, and it has various different prices on the material. I'll just scroll through all of it so you guys can see how much material it is. I wouldn't recommend buying material, but if it is outside TM and you're an early player and you have enough blue tickets, which can be received on the treasure map and in point rewards, then I would recommend buying those materials. And here we have tablets. Tablets are really great. They upgrade the limit break potentials that characters get after you limit break them, and then they just at the end after you max them, you have a max limit broken character who has their potentials maxed as well, and then they give a rainbow border after that. So here on the orange button we have the treasure map shop, and this has the past 23 units. Next month in October there'll be treasure map smoker, who isn't available because every 2 months they add the treasure map unit from last month's treasure map. So if you miss Blackbeard in November you'll be able to pick them up. So yeah, so these are all the past treasure map units. There's a lot of them, but I recommend picking up some of them. So I would at least recommend picking up one of each of them, but the ones that I would highly recommend picking up as a beginner are Big Mom, Jack, Anel, Law, Nami, Boa, Smoothie Oven, Weevil, Shanks and Beckman, Smoker, Akainu Fuji, and depending on your units, Ace and Sabo. And Ace and Whitebeard are also getting a buff in the next month with the New World event, but it's only for New World players, so I wouldn't really be that bothered with that. But these 2 units are getting a buff, which makes them pretty better. But yeah, you don't have to worry too much about that right now until you go into a New World. So that's all for treasure map. So here we have Cooldown Battle. If we click on Cooldown Battle right now, I'm not able to enter it because similar to TM, it's only available for a set amount of times. I believe like Cooldown Battle's only up for 7 or 8 days, something like that. But right here it just shows a 0, which is the number of limit break potions, Cooldown potions that I have, and currently, which is 0 because I used them all on the last Cooldown Battle. But it's basically a damage ranking event where you have to just deal more damage, and then there's like certain requirements and certain teams and colors that can be used on certain bosses. But it will net you a lot of great rewards, and I made a video on it, so I can link that in the comment section as well, which just shows off Cooldown Battle and how it is. But it's something that I wouldn't really worry about since it's important, but it's not too important for a beginner player. Alright, next up, let's look at the crew option. So this is the crew option. This first option right here will show you the crew, and this is where you'll build all your teams and stuff. So here, this is one team that I have, and it has a captain right here and then 4 subs. So the team essentials. So for every team you want a captain, you want a attack booster, an orb booster, and then you'll want subs depending on the content. So let's show you guys 1 second. Oh. So right here I'm using Hody team, and Hody is a powerhouse captain. So I'm gonna show you guys just the essentials. So in this team, right here, oh, let me just hold on. So this unit, Sanji Judge, he's a attack and orb booster for powerhouse, so that just takes care of both of my requirements. But if you want to look for an attack or orb booster, you can go here, click on this button at the top, click on the orange one, scroll down. Oh, my thing's tweaking. Alright, here we go. Scroll down here, and then if you click this first option, it'll sort by attack boosters. And then if you want to sort by powerhouse, you can scroll up here, click this button, which removes all the other options, click this option, which is powerhouse, and then you can change your attack booster. So let's just change to our attack booster right there. And now we need an orb booster. We have Neptune right here, but you want a different one. So you'll click right there, go back here, unclick that, click this button, and you have orb boosters. So let's change our orb booster to Sanji. And yeah, that's how to get attack and orb boosters. Well, I'll tell you guys the rest of the filters right now as well. So let's go back to this, but we'll keep powerhouse in mind. So first option, this sorts characters by specials that deal damage. This one sorts it by fixed damage dealing specials, because some characters have a fixed amount of HP, so these specials will usually one-shot them, or they'll deal the fixed amount of damage based off their special, and it varies depending on specials. It can be 600 or 500, and it can go up to 300,000 to one character or whatnot. It all depends on the character. These are specials that deal damage that goes through barriers and defensive effects, which include increased damage, percent damage, and regular barriers. Next up, we have our other types of damaging specials. I don't really know why they called it that, but that's, if you want to sort for that, you have that. These are just health cuts, and like the term applies, it cuts the HP of the enemies. And right here we have health cuts that go through barriers and defensive effects, which are really strong. Next up, we have the second tab, and again we have attack boosters. If you look here, orb boosters, which both of these are essential to your crew. They boost the damage of your crew, which are really nice, and on most teams you will want both of those, but on some options the boss might have a effect if you do attack boost or orb boost. So it usually depends on the content, but for most content, 90% of the time you want to have both of those types of characters on your crew. These are delay conditional attack boosters. If a character is delayed, which the character won't be able to attack, you can apply additional attack boost. A delayed conditional attack boost, which will boost your attack similar to a attack boost a regular attack boost, but it'll be more damage and it'll stack with your attack boost and or boost whatever you have applied. So you can do a lot of crazy damage with those. Unless there's a immunity shield, then you won't be able to apply those. This is reduced defense conditional attack boosters. Similar to delay, they reduce defense, similar to what I showed you guys before with Zoro Joro. The blue shield effect with the line in it, that's to reduce defense, and these attack boosters, when applied with a reduced defense with the red slash in it, will deal a lot of damage. Well, they'll boost your attack, so you'll have a delayed attack boost. These are poison conditional attack boosters. They apply poison, or they will they apply poison and they'll boost their attack against poisoned enemies, or if the enemy is poisoned, they'll apply an attack boost, so you'll deal more damage to poisoned enemies. Right here, this is Affinity Boosters, and in this game, there's a thing called Color Affinity. So, strength, red beats green, green beats blue, blue beats red, and yellow and purple beat each other. So, your color affinity depends on what you want to fight. So, if you're running team, let's see, I have quite an affinity booster on my team right now. Let's just put him. So in this team, we have majority quick and majority strength, are red and blue and red. And if I use this unit right here, Cracker, he's a color affinity booster. So you want to attack, when you apply him, you want to attack depending on the enemy. So you usually want to use his special when you, on this team in particular, against either strength or against a dex or a green enemy. So when you're attacking, you want to finish off with, if it was a strength enemy, with your quick units, mostly Cracker since he has the highest attack stat. And then if it was a dex enemy, you would want to finish off with Sanji, since his attack is the highest and since he's strength. But you can also do it against a Psy enemy, who would be yellow, and finish off with Hody, who is our captain right now. So it all depends on the colors that you're facing. Alright, next up we have this one is additional tap timing, and it's just an additional boost that you can add to your attack, which will deal damage, more damage to the enemy, which is really nice. This are chain lockers. Chain lockers, like I showed you before, they will lock your chain, which was based on how many perfects you hit, how many greats, goods. It's just based on your hits. So the chain locker will lock it at a fixed amount of hits, at a fixed amount multiplier, which is good. And chain lockers are also bad depending on the captain that you're running. Some captains are chain boosting captains, so if you lock the multiplier, then they're stuck with a certain amount of damage. So for chain lockers, you want to bring, instead of chain lockers, you can bring chain boosters, and chain boosters will boost your chain, which makes it more powerful. Alright, in the next one we have percent damage specials. These are damage reducers, and they will reduce the amount of damage that you take in the fight, which is really great. You will use these a lot against when you want to tank a hit from an enemy, or when an enemy when they die, they deal damage towards you, so they're really great to have. We have damage threshold, which is basically the same thing, but their damage reduce is dependent on how much the enemy deals. It'll be like they'll reduce damage over 10,000 by like 60% or something like that. All depends on the unit, but they're also really great. A little slightly better than the regular percent shield. Under like 80% down, like everything under 80%, these threshold damage reducers are quite better. And then better than that are damage special negators. So these units will negate damage that is done. Usually for damage negators, they're a lot older units and they're for like certain colors, so they'll reduce damage, or they'll negate all damage done to you by one turn that's dealt by a certain color. But there are universal ones that negate all damage taken. For example, the Legend Robin, who's a really great unit. Alright, in this fourth tab, you can sort characters by orb blockers, and like the name implies, they lock orbs. This is really great if you can't guarantee yourself matching orbs on the next room. You can lock the orbs that you currently have and bring them into the next room, but sometimes enemies will shuffle orbs or give you orbs, so it's not always ideal, but it's always nice to have. Beneficial orb enablers, these are really great because they will make orbs beneficial for your crew. Sometimes if you use a beneficial orb enabler that's like 3 turns or more, they will allow you to bypass effects that will make orbs negative applied by the enemy. So these are always good to have. Next up are boost orb chance. These specials, when they are used in the following turn, and depending on the duration of the effect, they'll increase the chance of you getting a matching orb or a certain orb that the character boosts. So these are always really nice. A bit RNG, but depending with some specials, you can guarantee the chance of getting matching orbs. And then here we have swap orbs, and these characters will swap. You can have the ability to swap orbs onto certain characters. So if you have a green orb on a strength character and you want to move it to your green character, you can always swap the orb depending on how many turns of swap you're allowed. The most that I recall is you're allowed 3 swaps depending on characters, but it all depends on the unit and their swap ability. So here in this 5th tab, we have normal orb manipulators. These characters will manipulate the orbs that you have available right now, but sometimes these characters do not also manipulate block orbs, which are negative orbs that reduce the damage that you deal. But there's characters that do remove block orbs, and those are characters on this tab. And these are usually the best units to run for the most part, since they since they remove block orbs, and not a lot of characters are good orb manipulators and block orbs, but the ones that do manipulate orbs and block orbs are really fantastic. And these characters are orb consumers. These characters take the orbs that you have already and then they shoot them back out at the enemy, and they deal a lot of damage. They're really cool, but not always the best characters. So this tab are a lot of things. So like we were talking about earlier, bind removers. So if you have more bind than your fixed 3 turns of bind removal will have, you can use a bind remover to remove the bind. Same with the spare. In this tab, they remove the spare, which is really nice, and it's always It always depends on how much a character can remove the spirit or bind, of course. Next up, we have Paralysis. Similar to Pokemon, there's a chance where you can move inside Paralysis, but a lot of times you can't move and you'll just get stuck. So bringing the Paralysis remover is always nice when you are stuck with Paralysis. Next up, we have our Silence remover. So silence is when your character's special gets locked. So silence removers will remove, typically if they have a sailor ability, which is ability that characters as a sub have. Usually most characters have sailor abilities, but but some don't, such as a lot of story units and whatnot, and really old characters. So silence is really great because it allows you to... Silence removers are really great because they allows you to remove your silence and allows you to use your specials, which is really nice to be able to use your specials. After silence removers, we have burn removers, and burn is an ability that the enemy applies, where every time you hit a perfect, you'll take a set amount of damage based off of how many perfects you hit, and then that damage will rack up depending on how many perfects. So burn removers are always nice, but you can always get by past the burn by doing other things like hitting goods and greats or one-shotting with one perfect. Then right here we have increased damage taken removers. And increased damage taken is another debuff that the enemy will apply, where you'll take more damage than usual. So increased damage taken removers are nice, but you don't always need them. Just depends on the situation. After this, we have attack down removers. So attack down is another debuff that the enemy applies, and attack down will decrease the damage that you do to the enemy. So sometimes you can power through it, but most of the time I would recommend bringing an attack down remover. So right here we have chain lock remover, which removes the chain because it's a set amount of chain that you have, so sometimes it's negative to you. So that's always nice to be able to remove it. And right here we have a chain down remover, which, like chain lock removal, removes the chain down. Then here we have poison removers, and if you get poisoned, you'll take the damage that you take increases, similar to toxic in Pokemon. So being able to remove the poison is always great. So right here we have RCV bind. So there's a effect in the game where your HP bar gets sealed and you can't heal or whatnot. So RCV bind removers or anti-heal removers are really nice. There's only a couple. Let me take off the powerhouse only mode. So these are the 3 units in the game that remove it. Marco, Limited Rare Recruit, and Kobe completely remove it, and Shirahoshi removes 6+, removes 6 turns of hit. But you can always get by anti-heal with the limit break socket of anti-heal, and just by clearing the stage. It's not always required to remove the RCV bind. And this is RCV down, and it is just removes your RCV down just reduces the heal that you get off of meat orbs by it reduces it by 99%, I believe. So it just removes that and allows you to these units will remove RCV down by a certain amount or completely, depending on the unit, and then they'll let you heal by meat orbs fully. And these are blindness removers. Blindness is effect that the enemy can also apply to you, which won't allow you to see your taps. So it can be difficult for newer players and veteran players who aren't too familiar with the attack timing of their characters. So being able to remove blindness is always nice. And then this tab here are increased defense removers. And increased defense is a really strong thing that the enemy can apply to themselves, so they are really tanky. But if you can remove their defense, they become less tanky, of course, and you can take them out with more ease. This is percent shield damage reducers. Similar to increased defense, they become more tanky, but they are a little bit less tanky than percent shield. The percent shield is the blue shield, and increased defense is the blue shield, and percent shield is the rainbow shield that the enemy has over themselves. And this debuff removes negate damage reducers. So similar to ourselves, the enemy can also apply a shield that allows them not to take damage, but these units will remove that shield by a fixed amount. I think the max is 2 to 3 turns. There is no 100% negate shield damage reducer, but there usually is only, like, the max is, I believe, 6 turns on the Coliseum Magellan, but it's only for one color, so it's not too bad. Alright, next up we have our threshold damage reducers, and similar to percent shield and increased defense, they remove that, which is really great. Threshold damage will limit the amount of damage that you can deal towards the enemy, so having these types of specials in your crew is really great. Right here we have Deterrent damage removers. Right here we have a free-to-play unit, right, Frankie, who completely removes it, but you don't always need to remove the Deterrent damage, but it can be quite annoying at times when when facing it. Right here we have Enrage reducers, and Enrage is basically a buff that the enemy can apply, which ignores delay, and they'll just attack you every turn with no stop. So removing the Enrage is really nice. Right here we have enemy Deterrent healing removers, and this buff will heal the enemy every turn by a certain amount. Depends on the enemy, but removing that can also be really great when farming stuff, because sometimes you might deal enough damage to kill them, but then on the revive they have an Deterrent healing, so they might heal just up a little bit more than you can deal, and then you just lose the run, which is quite unfortunate. Right here we have resilience removers. Like I was showing before, they put themselves with a resilience buff so they can survive with 1 HP, similar to a focus sash in Pokemon. So being able to remove the resilience buff is really great. As we see here, the Joro free-to-play unit is a resilience remover by 4 turns, which is really nice. And here we have barrier removers. There are many barriers in the game, and being able to remove them sometimes can be really great, but a lot of times you can power through the barriers and be able to clear them. But if you're unable to power through the barriers, having a barrier remover is quite good to have. And finally, in the last tab, we have healers. These characters all heal with their specials. Some characters have a fixed heal, other characters don't have a fixed heal, so it all depends on the character. For characters that don't have a fixed heal, I would recommend feeding them RCV candies because their heal isn't fixed. But if their heal is fixed, I wouldn't recommend feeding RCV candy, because characters who don't have a fixed RCV healing are based on their RCV stat, so you want to have that as high as possible. Next up, we have RCV Boosters, and they basically boost the meat orbs that you get, and they'll make them more powerful, so you heal a lot more from them. Right here, we have delayers. They delay the enemy depending on a lot of turns, on a certain amount of turns. Some can delay for 1 turn, while others can delay up to 6 turns, which is really nice, but it all depends. Not really too useful nowadays, but it can be useful in some situations. Right here we have resilient specials. These specials we can apply on ourselves, and sometimes they might require, depending on the unit, you to be at a certain HP threshold in order to activate them. But some units, such as Legend Barto right here, 6-star and 6+, can be activated whenever he wants. And right here we have defense reducers. And defense reducers are similar to increased defense reducers, but they will basically reduce the increased defense of an enemy, or just reduce the defense, so then you're able to apply a reduced defense conditional or do whatever against the enemy. So they're nice in instances where the enemy has increased defense. Next up, we have poisoners. These units will poison the units, and they, similar to Pokemon, it'll act like toxic. If it's toxic, poison usually works on a fixed amount, but toxic works like toxic in Pokemon, where it is ramped up depending on how long it is applied on the enemy. And then next up we have instant defeat specials, and these specials will auto kill enemies. Some have certain requirements, like we have the Invasion Garp at the top, who is a insta kill unit if the enemy is under 25%, so he insta kills people. But then we have units like Shiryu, who is underneath Legend Brook, and Recruit Kuma, who is right here, who will insta kill units whenever, but it's a 30% chance, so it's not a unit. Those units aren't recommended for real gameplay, but if you do need to take a chance and use them, I would recommend, I wouldn't recommend, I would say you can use them to try to insta kill to win. And this are end of turn damage dealers. So these units will deal end of turn damage. So after your turn is over, they'll apply damage that can kill the enemies, or they can just deal enough damage for you to do something else on the next turn. So they're really nice specials to have, especially for speed farming stuff like Fortnites and whatnot. So they're really great. Here we have cooldown reducers, and they reduce your cooldown per turn. Depends on the unit, but most of the times they can reduce your cooldowns by enough so you can use your specials faster and earlier. And last up we have following turn boosters. These specials will either have no effect, or they'll have a certain effect on 1 turn, and then if you fulfill the requirement, like hit 4 perfects, there'll be another effect applied on the following turn, which is really great. And yeah, that's all for sorting the box. And let me just tell you guys more things. So I'm going to tell you guys how to sort characters. So here you can sort by just 9 characters. Whoops, let's turn this on. And this will sort by various items in the game, we can talk about these items. So these first items I have on here are just stamps. They're just little collectible items that were released a while ago, not too important. These meats right here, they're really nice. They give a lot of XP. They give 5 million XP if I recall correctly, and are really great. Let me show the really great one. Where is it? These meats right here are the turkeys, and they give 5 million XP and also a guaranteed skill up, which are really great. And let's go back. So the rest of these items are just XP on this page, and then right here we have the support island items. They can be gained on some of the support islands. There are 2 in the Garp Challenges, but I wouldn't worry too much about getting support items because support is very similar to Limit Break, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But these will guarantee support up. These have a higher chance of getting a support up, and these have the lowest chance of getting a support up. And then here we have tablets. So tablets are the limit break abilities, and I would only recommend feeding these tablets to legend characters, but these tablets are really great, and you obtain them in treasure map and certain events on extra island, including the Wano Law 0 stamina. So let's talk about the tablets. This is Orb Seal. Sometimes in events your orb will be sealed, and the only time it can be removed so far is only with this limit break tablet. So if your character has Orb Seal, they have the ability to remove it. Sometimes they can't because it's more Orb Seal than their character has in their limit break ability, but this generally will remove Orb Seal in most cases. This is anti-heal. You can remove it in both limit break and also with a special, which is really nice. And this is also one of the other important limit breaks. Right here is barrier penetration. Characters with this will be able to penetrate barriers, which is really nice. Sometimes there's a HP requirement, but there's a lot of times where certain characters, especially legends, will be able to permanently penetrate barriers, which is great. Right here we have is pinch healing. So if you're at a low HP and you have pinch healing, if you hit perfects, depending on what level of pinch healing you're at, you can heal based off your perfects, and your heal is based off your RCV stat. Right here we have Enrage, and Enrage just gives additional attack bonus. The highest attack stat in Enrage is 300, and that is on the legend Robin. But it's 400. Yeah, Robin is 400. But yeah, not too important, but it's still a really decent tablet to have. Right here is Critical Hit, and Critical Hit has the potential to deal additional 10 to 15% damage if you have it max on your perfects, which is really great. Right here we have is Cooldown Reduction. So Cooldown Reduction is really nice. If you have this max, or if you have Cooldown Reduction, it'll reduce their base cooldown at the start of the adventure. So you can essentially have a character with max cooldown at the start of the round, and you can just use a special immediately, which is really nice. Right here we have is Double Special, and Double Special is really nice. It allows you to use a special twice in one event, which is really great, especially for specials that have multiple specials that do multiple things, like they heal and then they do something else, or if it's a special that has a double feature, like if you apply the special once and if you apply again something else happens, which is really great. And then here we have the DRs: Strength DR, Dex DR, quick DR, side DR, and int DR. And then here we have our skulls. And these skulls are really great. They're for super evolution of legends. And these skulls can be obtained after clearing raids and coliseums, and you encounter an invasion. An invasion is just an additional boss battle after the raid and coliseum. It takes 0 stamina, and if you have double stamina applied on the raid coliseum, you get 2 times drops if you clear the invasion as well. But invasions can be a little bit difficult, but so in the meantime you can always buy skulls from the race shop, which I'll talk about in a little bit as well. So after skulls, we have the skulls for certain characters, which I just keep a couple as collectibles because they're really nice. Socket books, the regular ones, and then we have guaranteed socket books that will guarantee the socket that you need. We have these V-Jump books, which are just XP. They're just little collectible items, not anything too important. These teapots are also XP and a 1 socket, which is really nice. The World Secret book and this book here aren't too important. I believe they're also XP as well, but quite forgettable, to be honest. And then we have this is the Universal Skill Book. It has the chance to skill up any character. And then we have the guaranteed skill books right here, which are golden. And there's also ones for the classes. And this one just gives you a guaranteed skill up, which is nice. Same with the turkeys, and like I said before, there's guaranteed skill ups for shooters, powerhouse, chances for free spirit, and then there's one for every other class as well. And then here we have skill books. They're just for any unit, and you feed them to the exact unit. It can be the unevolved one or the evolved one, and they should get the skill. Next up is sorting by dual characters, and it'll just sort by dual characters. Then you can sort by strength, dex, quick, psi, and int. And then you can sort by classes. We have fighter, slasher, striker, shooter, free spirit, driven, cerebral, powerhouse, and evolvers, which are like your crabs, turtles, dragons, lobsters, whatever. Alright, and then we have this menu here. And this menu, you can sort your characters by your favorites. So these are your favorites right here. Let me actually go back. So if you go to this option, you can go here, and that option is actually called favorites. So if you hold your character, you can listen to them. Now if you click on them, press this button, you can unfavorite them, and then go down. Let me find them real quick. Click them again, click that. Nope. They actually will let you look at them. Click that again, and then they become favorited. Alright. Now let's sort characters. So that's favorites. This sorts by when you obtain the character, so it'll show the first character you ever got first, and then so on. Next up is by level. I guess it's just if they're max level or not. So we see we have some 51 characters towards the bottom and whatnot. Next up we have by rarity. And then it'll just Based by rarity. So the highest rarity is 6+, then it goes to 6-star, then it goes to 5-star, then it goes to 4-star and 3-star. Alright. Next up we have is by type, which is the colors, strength, dex, quick, int. And then duels always come at the top. Next up we have by HP. So sort by the highest HP in the game to the lowest, well, that you have in your box, of course. Next is by attack. Auto sort by the attack stat. Next is by the RCV stat. Next is by the price. Which I don't really... Oh, by the cost, my bad. First is by cost. So the cost of the unit in your box. Then by price, which I don't really get, but whatever. Then by power up. And then by cotton candy. So plus 200 units will always go at the top. And then whatever else will be towards the end. And cotton candy, for rule of thumb, I would generally recommend feeding cotton candy plus 100 HP and plus 100 attack, and then in certain situations plus 100 attack and plus 100 RCV. If there are healing special, that is not fixed. So that's that. Let's see. And this is by combo hits. So combos are dependent on the characters, and it just is how many hits that they do when you tap with them. So it just sorts by that. This will sort by cooldowns, lowest to highest. And then actually let's see what's the highest cooldown. So at 13, 16, 0. So the highest cooldown that I have is 36. Nice. And where were we? Number of powers, which I don't really understand that sort, so you don't have to worry about that. By sailor ability, so I guess it's if there's by a sailor, and then by training points. So if you sort by training points, that's the easiest to find out if they're a legend or not. All legends have 5k training points, and recruits will be 300 training points, and then free-to-play units are sort from 1 to like 30 training points, I believe. Let's see if I can find one. 30 or 50. 100. Where's one? 30. Yeah. So they're relatively cheaper, the free-to-play ones. And this is by characters, so you can sort based off characters. So this is all the Luffys that I have. And then we scroll down, we see all the Zoro sound, and all the Namis, all the Usops, and whatnot. And then here, sorts by Super Evolution. So all of the Super Evolved characters will be at the top, and all the non-Super Evolved characters will be at the bottom. This sorts by Limit Break, and all the treasure map units will go on top, and then they'll go into Legends, and then they'll go into other units. This will sort by Special, which I don't really get this function as well. This will sort by whatever characters have support, and then it'll support, and then all of those units who have support will go at the top, but I'll talk about support a little bit later. And then all the ones who, and it'll also sort by what level of support they have. So all my max supports at the top, and then we see that I have some only one supports. And this last function is really neat. It's not active now, but whenever there's a event such as treasure map or like a blitz battle where we're ranking and there's point boosted characters, it'll sort characters by who is boosted or not. So it's really nice. So you can just change your box setting to see like, all right, who right now is actually boosted in this event, which is really nice. All right. Next option is the sell option, and here you can just sell things and you can sell them for belly. So I don't need these RCV candy, so I'll receive 60,000 belly. I'm gonna sell them. Boom. So that's selling items. I usually wouldn't recommend selling units, but because you can send them to a race shop, which I'll talk about in a little bit. This is the evolve button. If you click here, you can see which characters you can evolve, and you can say, oh, alright, so I'm missing 4 skulls. I'm gonna have to go find those skulls to evolve them. Let's click on here. He's missing a red dragon, so if I wanted a red dragon, I would go and farm that red dragon. Then I can click that, and I can evolve him. And it costs a little bit of money to evolve characters, so keep that in mind. And then this is limit break. So limit break is pretty important. You can let's click on a character. So this character, we see this is the limit break tree, and on the limit break tree there's many things. So here we have RCV stats being boosted. This is a HP stat being boosted. These are the nodes, such as the ones that I talked about on the tablets, which are RCV Dam, Slot Bind, the DRs, Pinch Heal, Double Special, Reduce Cooldown, and barrier penetration and whatnot. And then this icon is additional socket. So when you limit break them this far, you will receive another socket on this character. And then this will give them another sailor ability. Oh yeah, this is a stat boost in attack, and this is a cooldown boost. So what you want to do is when you have a character, you want to feed them potions. So these are the potions. You can receive these potions either on the daily islands or login or the bonus, or you can receive them from treasure map. So right here we need 2 million points of limit break in order to limit break him. So just gonna do that. And that's the 2 million points. I'm not going to do it exactly because I already have them already maxed. But yeah, going to use that 2 million points, and then it'll just pop up and it'll show that he's he already has his LB. And then if you click here, you can see what materials he needs, and you can see that there's a 95 out of 5. That's he's level 5 right now. You need to be level 99 in order to actually use all of the materials and whatnot. And it shows the 2 million, which is how much limit break potions or XP he needs to be fully limit broken. And this shows the materials that he needs. So he needs 50 small shards, 23 medium crystals, 2 big red spears, 10 small shards, and 7 medium shards of psi. And then if you click this button, you can see all the material that you have. Alright, what else is there? Alright, if you click on this button again, you can go and see the Shipyard, and you can see all the ships that you have. And as a beginner, I would highly recommend maxing this ship. It's pretty good for beginners. It gives you a 1.5 HP boost, and it also allows perfects to be easier to hit, which is really nice. To boost these ships, you kind of need cola, and cola stacks really late in the game, so early game you might struggle with it a bit, but later on as you play more Coliseums, more events, more Fortnites, you'll eventually stack up your cola to 999 like mine says. So you don't have to worry too much about cola. And right here we have the race shop. So the race shop here, you can click here and sell stuff to the race shop. So I have some old stuff that I don't need. So what can I sell real quick? So these units right here I'm gonna sell. You see I get 1,328 rate points from selling them. Gonna click that. And with those rate points, I can go here into the race shop, and then I can buy cotton candy. I can buy universal skill books, socket books, skill books for certain legends, belly, but I wouldn't recommend buying them. Ships, I wouldn't. The race shop ships aren't really that good anymore. I would recommend buying this one. The what is it called? The rocket ship. It's really great for zombie teams. So most zombie teams are basically unkillable teams because they can heal up to full, and similar. The captain has a resilience-esque special in their captain ability. So zombie teams are really nice, especially with this rocket ship. So I would only probably buy this ship and the crow ship, which is Lucy's ship. Those are the only ships I would buy from the race shop nowadays. And then we have guaranteed socket books that you can buy. Princess Turtles. Evolvers based off the colors. You can buy dragons, cola, more cotton candy, skulls, like I said. More socket books, evolvers, if you're lazy. But I wouldn't buy evolvers until you're in game and you have plenty of rate points. Otherwise, just stack up your rate points. And yep, that's all for the what's this option called again? Sorry, for the crew option. So now let's go to the tavern option. So right here we have the tavern. We have the Tsugo Fest going. We have the Kaido Sugo Fest going on. Right here there's a 3 right here, and there's a little icon. That's 3 days. 3 days from now, you're not gonna be able to buy gems at the store because they're gonna have a little maintenance, like I talked about a little earlier in the video. So you don't have to worry about that if you're free to play. But if you are trying to spend some money in the game, then you'll have to wait a couple days in order for the gem shop to be back. But the Sugo Fest is going to be here until October 7th. Technically it's the 8th in Japan, but it'll be the 7th for us in the US and everyone outside of the Japanese time zone. So just keep that in mind. If you click this orange button that says wanted, it shows all of the featured characters, and then you can sort through, click on them, and see their stats and whatnot at level 1. And if you click this button with the arrow up top, it shows the steps. So the second step is a guaranteed rated up character, or there's characters rated up. Third step is a guaranteed legend. 5th step is a rated up character. 6th one's a guaranteed rated up legend. 8th step is a guaranteed rated up character. 9th step is a guaranteed rated up legend. 12th is a guaranteed max special level character for the 12th. Max special level legend actually for the 12th, 15th, 18th, and the 20th, which is really crazy. So it's a really crazy Sugo. I would recommend pulling on this Sugo as a beginner. And if you click right here on this orange button with the bird, it shows the rate ups. If you scroll all the way down here and click the button, but it doesn't really matter if you don't know Japanese, so you don't have to worry about that. If you click here, it just shows that stuff. If you click this orange button right there, it increases your box space. If you click the button on the left, which is yes, and it increases it by 5 per gem. And this is where you can buy gems. And for the first time enters, you have to like put in your date of birth. If you're below I think it's like the age 20 or something, you're gonna only have a fixed amount of gems that you can buy per month. But I believe if you're an adult, you can buy gems whatever. But you just basically have to enter your birth code. It'll show how to do it. It's a little different than it is in like the US. I think it's year, month, and then day. I forget exactly, but it's something like that. But yeah, those are the banners. This is part 2 of Sugo Fest. This is part 1. And then here we have the limited rare group banner that actually has legends on it as well. I wouldn't recommend pulling on this one since we have the Kaido Sugo Fest going on, but if it wasn't available, this would actually be a pretty good banner to pull on for beginner players since it has legends and also has limited rare recruits. And limited rare recruits are characters that are only exclusive to a certain banner that can be pullable then, and they are typically pretty good units overall. I would recommend pulling for a couple of them, but right now as a beginner I would recommend focusing on starting up with a really strong box, so pulling on the Kaido banner would be more efficient for you guys. And then there's also the Super Evolution. If you do Sugo Fest, if you do, I believe it's which one's guaranteed? Nami. I don't remember which one, but after a certain amount of multis, you can